the question is, who do you think is the best Migos?
Yeah,
Migos
best
member?
Migo.
Oh, the best Migo. I am a full-fledged card-carrying member of Takeoff Hive.
I'm team every Migo is the best
Right.
Migo, but I do think that Takeoff really. I'm glad that we all seem to
Right,
agree
right,
that
right.
he really deserves
Yeah.
quite a bit of respect.
Spicy.
I think every Migo has a specialty. If you don't do your homework, you're gonna think Offset is the best Migo.
He's the most
I used to
forward-facing.
be team Offset. He was my favorite. And then,
Offset gave the Bad and Bougie hook. I just want to
Yeah.
give it. We're gonna give him his.
That was
his
a very pinnacle point of his career. Like
Yeah.
once Bad and Bougie came, everybody was kind of like, oh
Yeah.
shit, I didn't know he had that.
What's up, geniuses? Welcome back to For the Record, and I'm your host, Rob Markman. After several delays, it is finally here. Listen, he had to get it right. He had to take his time and get it right, but Offset's solo debut is finally here, Father of Four. Now, to celebrate the Migos, we're going to have a lot of fun today. We're going to have a good old-fashioned classic debate. We're going to talk about the album. Now that we got all three solo Migo projects released, we're going to debate who's the best Migo, all right? And to do that, I got a dope panel. My man, culture critic and writer, Cory Townes. No stranger to the show. Cory, welcome to For the Record.
What's happening?
Yes. And then we have the artist partnership lead at YouTube Music. It's a mouthful, but you do a lot. Naomi Zeichner, welcome to For the Record.
Hey, Rob.
This is your first time here, right?
Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. You visit the office, we hang out, but this is your first time on the show. I'm super excited. And then finally, fresh off the plane from the All-Star game, you might have seen her all NBA All-Star weekend. She is everywhere. She's the star of BET's Hustle in Brooklyn. A star, but to me, you're the star of BET's Hustle in Brooklyn.
Thank you,
Ivy Rivera, what's up?
Thank
Welcome
you.
to For the Record.
I'm happy to be back. What's up, gang? How we
good?
living? You good?
You sound like Big Money.
I sound like Big Money.
What's up? What's up,
You see
gang?
What's up, y'all?
She was on that Mountain Dew stage
Yeah,
with
I'm about
Mouse
to say,
Jones,
man.
Money
Shout
Making
out
Mouse.
to the bro. Money making mouse.
Nah, but we're here this morning, Offset. Migos.
Offset.
Father of Four. Did we listen to the album? I just want to get into it. It just came out today, so it's still fresh.
Very instant.
It's still
Right.
They're gonna be in the comments. You didn't even listen to the album. It just came out.
It's been about 5 hours.
I
Bite
listened
me.
to it this morning
Right.
because I waited till midnight, and then at midnight I found out it was coming out at 1 o'clock. And then I was just like, nah, I gotta get some rest before I go here.
We go to the
with
shoot.
bags.
Right.
But I gave it a full listen because I listen to music the best when I'm getting ready because it creates the ambiance. So if you creating a good ambiance for me, then we lit. But I'll dive right into it. I think it was a very personal project for him. And I feel like it was just more of an introduction as to who he is and his story more than creating hits.
Naomi, he tweeted before because he kept a lot on the wraps. Remember, like he didn't want to reveal the title. He said, if I reveal the title too soon, it's just gonna give it all away. And he kind of kept everything very compact. There were a couple of delays, but he had tweeted, this is my first solo project. I want to express my life and let my fans know a little more about myself, and of course, some turn up. Do you think the album lived up to that tweet? That you set it up the right way?
Yeah, there's definitely some turn up on the record. And I think if you've been paying attention, I don't think he's totally kept himself a secret, but I really think he had a very eventful last 2 years. I think he's like very genuinely changed and thinking about it. And I think you do hear that
You
here.
hear it.
Yeah.
Is that you say that because look, the Cardi stuff, the relationship stuff, him getting married, culture being born,
Car
dominates
accident.
the headlines. The car accident, I'm going to be completely honest. I forgot about the car accident. It just wasn't like in the front of my mind. And obviously, he was fucked up off of it. So it's in the front of his. It wasn't in front of my mind. So I saw the Red Room video. I was like, oh, yeah. Like, he's been through some shit.
Yeah.
Right? Cory, like how much of his life did he really put into this?
I mean, I think you could definitely tell, kind of like we were talking about off camera, that this is probably his most personal work to date. And even going back, back when Migos was first getting started, he had his incidents with jail and stuff. Like, we kind of didn't know we would get the full trio of the Migos. So, I could definitely say out of probably the three of them, we've seen he's had the most adversity, hardships, like stuff like that. So, I mean, I definitely think he got that across. And
yeah, I remember when I was at MTV, we used to do a thing called Mixtape Daily. And the first Mixtape Daily we did on the Migos, shot in Atlanta with my man Flex. Offset wasn't there. He was locked up. So really, we forget even at their ride, the group's rise, when they really started taking off, he missed
a lot of that. A lot of the early videos and stuff like that. So
And
I
before
mean,
Bad and Bougie as well, right? In
Yeah.
South Georgia, like a really terrible experience. I think he speaks like you hear him sort of reflecting on that
Yeah,
as
his
well.
life definitely like impacted him in a way where it's like he almost can't stop talking about it. Like it has affected him in such a way where it's like it plays a part in everything that he does. You know, so I think that's something that's commendable that he's vulnerable enough to even like share that.
And I'm glad he has his moment. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
For somebody to go through all that stuff, you know, stuff we've seen, the stuff we haven't, the stuff that's been in the news and everything. Even for him to just get here, I think that's dope.
And Naomi, you've been following Migos and documenting Migos a long time. As you know, all of us have, but like you were really deep in it, especially in your days with the Fader and stuff like that. What do you say? You know, even before TMZ, right? And the Cardi stuff, and now it's become really real pop culture. I bet there's a lot of people tuning into the album or looking at the album and be, what's he gonna say about Cardi? And I feel like that was wasn't a big part of the album. Like, how much does that play into his entire story right now?
I think it's really interesting, right? In so many ways, this album rollout, like he is in some ways positioning himself or playing the part of Cardi B's husband, like even just, you know, in the forefronting of culture on the cover and thinking about fatherhood and thinking about his role in a family. Like I think that she has very genuinely impacted his life and that he thinks a lot about like what it means to be bonded to her and like that's his destiny. But I think on the record itself, right, there's the I forget the name.
Don't Lose Me.
Right, there's the one track, but even that I think he's treading light. I think he's being careful. And I think to some extent, right, like maybe like that's not to share because maybe it's not resolved within him. I think both of them are thinking a lot about each other and love each other. And I think that it's like not really to speak too literally on at this moment. And I think, you know, the last couple months have been crazy, obviously. And I think he was probably sort of working through it, figuring out.
The real relationship that I saw that his relationship with his kids, I feel like obviously it's called Father 4 is at the forefront of this album. And first of all, the album, right, starts beautifully. I was speaking to Ende, who's producing the show with us. She's a producer here at Genius. And she goes, listen, Big Rube is the cheat code.
Big Rube,
you know what I'm saying? She's like,
legend.
as soon as you get Big Rube to open
Big
your
Rube
album,
is
you
a
won.
legend. Yeah, like like I think it's something about, you know, obviously like his voice, you know, that kind of that gravelly sound that kind of like pulls you in and allows different things to resonate with you and stuff. But even like just his sense of poetry, you know, like it's a cheat code. You know what I'm saying? If you put Big Rube on a record, like it's automatically gonna get you in and it's automatically gonna get your attention.
You know, so his kids are at the forefront of this, obviously. But I feel like too him opening up about his father a lot. He did the interview with Esquire and he said that he cried, you know, writing and doing so many of these songs, and talked about his father a lot on the album on Red Room, and he's like mad at his pops. So the situation, right, is that his pops wasn't in his life, you know, once Offset made it, reached back out to his father to offer him some help, and I guess his father's pride wouldn't let him accept the help. And Offset talking about that feels like a slap in the face. So right away on this album, there's a lot of fuck you, dad, you know what I'm saying? And then him kind of embracing his own kids, maybe in a way that his father didn't embrace him. I'm not reaching, right? Like there's a lot of that on
Yeah, absolutely. I think also like that, you know, there's a greater outside of just his relationship with his father, like there's this sense of I've come so far, I've become I'm this person that I'm sharing with you, like where I come from. I've become a different person, like I have a public life. But I think there's a real like guilt or just perspective on where other people are at. Like I think I don't know if that interview or a different interview he was saying like somebody just asked me for $30 for gas. Like I can't believe somebody just needs $30. You know, like kind of realizing how much your life has changed and how much like value has changed to you and kind of what the responsibility is now. You know, he talked like in a lot of these interviews he's talking about and in the lyrics as well, like talking about investing and right. I think like people who come into wealth quickly or whose lives change really quickly often don't get the chance to pause and reflect on those things. And I think it's really like valuable that he's sort of sharing that experience of like taking a step back and being like, what is my responsibility moving forward to my community, to myself? Like, I appreciate that he's sharing that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that even when you just look at like the blank picture here, you know, you got, you know, one guy of three guys coming from the South, young black man coming into this money, coming into this fame, where it's kind of like you're not really given a platform to mess up. You know, you're not given a platform to make these mistakes, and you know, and I'm talking about mistakes across the board. So I think that type of self-reflection isn't something that I don't want to necessarily say isn't something that is looked forward to from like newer rappers now, because we do get a lot of that emotional music. We've had type conversations about that before. But to get it in this type of way, like, you know, like he said in the beginning, like this album is going to tell a lot about my life, but it's going to have turn up. A lot of us are more focused on the turn up. So like for someone who listens to an Offset record or listens to this record and like, oh yeah, like, man, forget all this emotional shit. Like, where's the Bad and Bougie? Like, you know, you're gonna have people like that. And I hope that doesn't like go over people's heads and people just kind of skim through it, because there's a lot of good stuff in there.
Well, and what you're touching on is, there's a ton of introspective music out there. You can go to Cole, you can go to Kendrick, you know, kind of Drake, the usual suspects, right?
The usuals.
Migos aren't
You're not gonna
regarded in
as
that. It doesn't mean that it's not there.
Right.
Or it doesn't mean that, but they're not regarded. I feel like you're burning.
No, in that live mixtapes era of Migos, they always had the feeling grandma song at the end of the record. They've always, and I actually like the Cole feature on this record is really strong. I think that song's really strong, and I think it speaks to that. In 2010, in the Bando era, we would have said J. Cole and Migos are opposites.
Yep.
You know, one's introspective and one's for turn up. Like, I think that's a false duality, and I think like a lot of, you know, on both sides of that, a lot of people have embraced that, you know.
And I think it takes a lot of work too, because I think Cole is definitely, because the same way that's a stigma maybe for Migos, like, oh, they don't talk about shit, and so they want to kind of turn that around. I think for the same thing about Cole is like, oh, it's too.
There's no turn up with him.
Exactly.
It's no bad. It's just bougie when it comes to Cole.
There's no bad. It's just bougie. That's a shirt.
But you know, I'm saying that's the perception, and Cole's making a real concerted effort. Like, nobody expected him to turn up on the 21 Savage project.
For sure.
Especially 21 didn't give us the track listing. They didn't even list features, and all of a sudden you're a Cole. You was like, oh shit.
And it fits.
Speaking like of 21 though, like, don't you think that this kind of opens up the theme of vulnerability and embracing like your life? Like 21 opened up on I Am Greater Than I Was. Now we have Father of Four, and it's like, you know, going down this new avenue of a reflection of your life versus like giving turn up. Like, now we're given a new perspective of who you are as an artist, you know, and that's something that I walked away with this album. I was like, you know what, you could give all of these, you know, Ric Flair drips, but now I know you on a different level, and I'm like, okay, I understand.
And I mean, I think like, I think that just because of the lifestyles that a lot of our favorite artists live, you know, like the bad, if they were talking about, or the bad and the bougie, essentially, like, I can't really relate to the normal lifestyle that the Migos has. You know what I'm saying? I can't relate to private jets and screw. I can't do that, man. I'm taking the train every day.
Only one of us on this panel.
Every one of us
to that.
does the
I'm gonna say who
private
this
jets.
is. I'm gonna let y'all guess who it is.
But I mean, it's yeah. Everybody point there. But like, no, so like, you know, like, I can't necessarily relate to that, but I can relate to having, you know, family issues. I can relate to, you know, feeling the pressures of success and stuff like that. So I think that if not for nothing else, when you have projects like 21s, when you have projects like this, and, you know, I do hope it opens the door for more rappers who are more aligned with like that turn up side to kind of release more content and more music, showing who they are. I hope that also brings a new wave of fans to them. You know, I hope that someone listens to this, you know, like that contrarian in the crew, like, man, I ain't listening to none of that shit. And then you're like, nah, you should check it out. And they check it out, and you're like, all right, you know what? Because I can relate to it. This ain't just the ice and the bottles and the girls. Like, it's other shit in there. I hope it brings them more fans and stuff.
You don't
like
necessarily need to relate to somebody's past in order to appreciate it. There's a lot of artists that we have grown up listening to that we would never experience what they've experienced, but we appreciate them for even opening up and allowing us to be on a personal level, you know, outside of the things that we enjoy about them as an artist. You know, like Biggie, for example. I'm looking at him right behind you.
Looking
you know,
at
and
you.
I'm like, right, prime example, my guy. He was one that he gave you those songs that you could groove to this day, but he was also super, super vulnerable and open, and it made you appreciate him and, you know, his state of mind, you know, and that circles back to this time. So I'm happy that we're kind of like experiencing like a recycle of that type of, you know, theme.
What was some of the other standouts on the album? I think we talked about Father of Four and opening with Big Rube and kind of getting right to the heart of the matter, right? And you know, the J. Cole feature on How Did I Get Here? And Cole talks about being baptized
Mm-hmm.
and remembering what it was like to see his mom struggle, and they're really talking about struggle. What were some of the other standouts on the album to you guys?
I mean, I'm a very, very big CeeLo Green fan.
North Star.
North Star was crazy.
So like anything I see with CeeLo is probably going to be not necessarily like not a win, but it's like, oh, I need to check that because I'm a big fan.
And had the little choir situation.
Yeah, and like I mean, I'm always a fan of, because Southern hip hop has its legends, and a lot of Southern hip hop's legends are still with us, still active and still working. I'm always a fan of kind of seeing that duality of like the old and the new. So like, and I obviously there's different types of legends, but anybody from the Dungeon family era, like, so I mean, that was something for me.
Yeah.
He had really solid features
Yeah.
too. It wasn't a lot, but he kept it all within his culture,
Yeah.
like Southern rappers who really like paved the way. We got Gucci, 21, of course his lovely wife. She had to come up in there.
She's the fourth Migos for me.
She is the fourth Migos.
She's the fourth
She's a
member.
Miguet.
The Miguet.
She's the amiga.
She's the amiga.
And any other standouts? Anything that stood out?
I
to
like,
you?
just on like a first couple listens, there's a sort of just deep cut called After Dark that I
After
thought was a
Dark.
really like beautiful flow, like kind of shows him. I think all three Migos have sort of said like we innovated, we invented so much, and now we're just sort of pushing it and like improving it. And I think you hear some nice like testament to that on that track. But also just like I feel like we haven't mentioned Metro Boomin at all. And shout out to Metro Boomin and Southside who really, and
the
I
production
think
of this joint is
yeah, you hear real respect between those three people there, and kind of like they gave each other space to just sort of move in silence and make something they wanted to make. And I think you can feel that.
I love that they made that album together because I don't think that Offset would have been comfortable doing it with anybody else. Like Metro Boomin and him have such a like dope history. It's like it's a seamless ride because he gets him. And I'm sure it's a mutual thing.
And there's some there's some co-producers on the album too.
Yeah.
I saw some people was like, oh, it's not just Metro and Southside. Q Beats is on there too. And he's credited, but it seemed like every beat was helmed by Metro or Southside, and then the respective people that they choose.
And I think, it definitely speaks to kind of like the current era of music we're in now, with producers and how producers are essentially artists themselves, where, if you hear a certain project is helmed by, a Metro or a Southside, you're going to give it that listen. But it does speak to kind of like that chemistry that you have. And it's kind of like, I'm going to do my thing, you're going to do yours. We're going to come together. Like, it isn't that type of like, oh, I want the lead single, so I'm going to give, my all, and I'm going to try to like not take you out. You know what I'm saying? But it's kind of like, we're going to work together and make a cohesive project that works, and everybody's going to eat.
And the bar was set like really high because like Metro Boomin, my personal opinion, Metro Boomin is one of my favorite producers right now.
My God.
And then Offset is like one of the favorite of Migos, even though I love Takeoff. Come on.
Oh, we're gonna get into that. We're gonna get to that.
I got a shirt under this one.
But I say that to say that like because the bar is set so high and they have that dope relationship, like we already have entered like a real solid project. Whether you walk away with like, I love this thing, you have to just respect the composition of it.
I'm glad that you mentioned After Dark. After Dark 2 was one of my favorite in the standouts. And one thing that I mentioned, another thread to do this album, right? Like we talked about his kids. Everybody's listening for hints of what he's going to say about Cardi, his relationship with his father. But on After Dark, I'm a menace. I'm on Cody, and I can't get up off it. Like, even on North Star, I just wrote some of these lyrics down. They plot, they my enemies. They try to split the three. The shit longer than centuries. Shit be bothering me. So talking about really how everybody trying to split the Migos. We're not trying to do that today. We're just trying to have a good old-fashioned debate. I got scars under my sleeve. The blogs is after me. They trying to capture me. They lying about the hoes. It's fucking my bitch up mentally. Crown me the king, addiction to lean. But if I can't sip it, then mama, I can't even sleep. Like, he's crying out for a lot of help on Don't Lose Me, the song that's about Cardi. I'm sorry, let me come home. She said, put down the styrofoam. Like, on multiple songs, he's really talking about his addiction. And I'm glad that more artists are opening up. We had Future here a couple of weeks ago. And he talked about how he doesn't even sip lean anymore, but he's afraid to express it because he's afraid of how the fans will react. He cultivated this fan base around it, and now that he's grown, will the fans abandon him? Do they just, it's an interesting thing. I don't know if I necessarily agree with it, but to be an artist in that position, like, it's scary when each one of your moves is scrutinized, right? But shout to Offset for actually like multiple times really crying out for help. And I don't know if he's still sipping now or if it's something that he's
trying to
resolved
control
yet since recording this. But shout out to you, man, for opening up for it.
Sure.
I want to rewind a little bit with your commentary about Future and his fear of like changing up. I think that it's absolutely human and okay to change. And I think that your fans would appreciate, I don't know what camera, I think your fans would appreciate you more if you led the pack in that type of thing, because lean is scary.
Yeah.
That is scary.
And it has a hold on a lot more people than we realize. Like, you know, kind of growing up, you know, they taught us a lot about, you know, like the Dare commercials, and like we had a very clear idea of what drugs were. You know, like the thing they told us most about was marijuana, and we've obviously seen how far that has grown and how far it has come, you know, since those days. But it's like, you know, lean has a very big grasp on a lot of communities, and you know, and it's to the point where it's like, you know, I won't say a big part of it was because of a lot of these rappers kind of glorified that lifestyle, but it was what it was. So I mean, I think, you know, to see people like Offset, see people like Future, you know, kind of admit that, you know, they're trying to, you know, leave that alone and kick that habit and stuff like that. I mean, I think it does show power. And I'm thinking,
and they're getting older. Like, you know, Migos came in the game 10 years ago.
Which is wild to think.
And, you know, if you look at somebody like Lil Pump now, who released an album today, Pump just was on social media a couple of days ago pouring, you know, the cough syrup into the cereal and eating the cereal.
That's nuts.
We saw
kind of nuts, but also, what is he? Fucking 17?
Yeah,
you
we
know,
saw
18,
Dex
like,
falling asleep on his live. We don't know if it had to be lean.
I mean,
right?
So
he was leaning.
But it's dope on some, you know, an artist like Offset or Future who've been in the game. They're veterans now,
Right?
They're not the new guys anymore. It's Pump and these guys that, you know, they're kind of saying something different, and it'll be interesting to see if that starts to change things.
I mean, look at Gucci Mane.
Right.
He changed his whole lifestyle.
Whole thing.
You know what I'm saying? And he was like leaned out.
Well, that may or may not be a Gucci Mane clone. I don't know.
Come on, man.
But I think addiction aside, it speaks to like 10 years of doing this work. Like just the job of being Offset it's incredibly difficult. I really do think, like, we talk about football players, we talk, you know, and we think how many like levels of support these humans have to be excellent at their job. You know,
all
like
the time.
I think I'm not surprised that at 27, Offset feels comfortable kind of like going and working with people he trusts and wants to take a little time and space to sort of, you know, think about himself and process himself. I'm glad that he wants to do that because this work is really hard.
It's the perfect age.
And wants his family together. I ain't mad.
100%.
Yeah. All right, so Offset is the last member of the Migos to drop the solo album. It started last year. Quavo did Quavo HUNCHO, and Takeoff did The Last Rocket. And now we have Offset, Father of Four. The one thing I will say, I don't feel like any of it was a money grab. It wasn't like Quavo did it and then went on the solo Quavo tour. Takeoff did it. Like it did to me feel like each one was trying to express
himself
something.
Individualism.
And they've confirmed that Culture 3 is coming. There's another Migos album. Now it's debate time. Who do we think the best Migos? We got all the solo projects.
Wait. The question is, who do you think is the best Migos?
Yeah,
Migos
best
member?
Migo.
Oh, the best Migo. I am a full-fledged card-carrying member of Takeoff Hive. I have been on the Takeoff wagon for the last maybe about 4 or 5 years now. Like when there was a point when you started to really see the Migos take off, no pun intended. When you started to see them really start
agree
to,
with you outside. If you hear the
you
call,
see the horns,
they're paying attention outside. Yeah, we're in Brooklyn. My bad, continue.
But no, like if you you know, when we really started to see the Migos start to ascend to another level of hip hop star, and we had a lot of different songs where, you know, Quavo might have carried it with like the hooks and the melodies and you know, stuff like that, and then you had Offset with like his, I don't know, I'll say demeanor. Takeoff would come with the lyrics, the staccato flow, they're like call casting. Like I always say, like Culture has about maybe 4 records where Takeoff killed everything.
Right.
Had the best flow on everything, had the lyrics on every call casting, T-shirt, I can't remember the
one of
pop
my
music
favorites.
missile. I can't even
Yeah.
like it's just like he had it. You know what I'm saying? So like, and I've always just been like, yeah, like Takeoff is probably the one out of the three doesn't say too much. It's kind of like the reserved guy, kind of laid back. But when he gets in the booth, he might take a sip of something.
It seems like that's all he cares about. Even if you saw them on tour with Drake, there was all those videos going around of Takeoff just off to the side or rapping and doing his thing. But
He
it
really
seems
does
like
be
all he
minding his
cares
business.
about, or the thing he's most passionate about is that
the
booth
bars.
and getting it off.
I heard from somebody once that Gucci says that Takeoff is the best rapper.
Okay.
I don't know if that's true, but it stuck with me. I mean, I think on these solo records, but just also in general over time, like Takeoff really is the soul of the group a little bit and like the heart of the group, like in real life, like I think that he maybe is like an anchor and funny and
glue.
special, but also like his album, I think feels a lot further removed from any pressure of anything really, and it's very dreamy and it's very romantic and it's like it's really nice and beautiful. And I do also think that you're right that like he is an important musical element in everything. Like he is the low end, like he is the percussion. Like I almost wish that his album was like even more abstract and like vibey because he's like the music is beautiful on a real level. But I love his record. I think it's really good.
Last Memory, we listen to Last Memory all the time.
So your team Takeoff too?
Takeoff half.
I'm team every Migo is the best Migo, but I do think that Takeoff really. I'm glad that we all seem to agree that he really deserves quite a bit of respect.
Yeah. I mean, damn.
Yeah, I was about to say, you about to drop the foot?
No, I mean, I will say, I think every Migo has a specialty, right? Like we know Quavo for like making these catchy hooks and having that dope flow, and Offset is just like, if you don't do your homework, you're gonna think Offset is the best Migo, or Quavo is the best Migo.
Yeah.
But if you really dig,
he's the most forward
I used
facing.
to be team Offset. He was my favorite. And
Also,
then,
Offset gave the Bad and Bougie hook. I just want to get we're gonna give him his
that was
props.
a very pinnacle point in his career. Like once Bad and Bougie came, everybody was kind of like, oh shit, I didn't know he had that. And like,
right, he has dope flow. He's not to sleep on. But I remember having a conversation about who my favorite Migos was, and my friend was like, "Nah, you gotta listen to Takeoff. You're not paying attention. You're not paying attention." And To Come Clean, Commando was the song that just changed my whole perspective. Takeoff went off. I was like, nope, no debate. Takeoff is my favorite Migo.
if anybody
Love
wants
them
to
all,
have
but
a conversation about who's the
Takeoff.
best Migo is, listen to Get Right With You.
Right.
I had to think of the name. I had to think of the title of the song. Listen to Get Right With You.
Yes.
I'm gonna sit with this Offset album for a while because I'm a fan of like storytelling and
It's gonna grow on you.
Really, like, and it's not taking anything away from anyone, but this shit just maybe it's the timing of it too. Just seems to have the most purpose. You know what I'm saying? And you know, even the song like on the album like Legacy, and I know it's brand new, but personally I've been in the space where I got 2 kids and they're growing into men now, so it's like I'm starting to think about like, am I doing the right things as a father? Am I showing them? So I relate to, like, as soon as he just starts spinning, I'm like, damn, I kind of relate to what he's saying. Not to be too hype, because the album hasn't been out 10 hours. But, and from their work before, like, I'm fucking with Offset right now, man. But
That's biased.
Yeah, maybe.
That's biased.
Plus, I didn't want us all to agree on something. What it is. A little bit of spice.
The true fact is that we are all
Takeoff.
I think Takeoff is the most like skilled at, like, you know what I'm saying? When it just come down to busting, like, he's gonna get in that booth and because it seems like that's what the fuck he concentrates on and go, like, that's his shit. So he's gonna go in there and drop 45. He's gonna do the James Harden thing. And consistently. You know what I'm saying? So like he's the most I think attentive to the craft of it.
Let me ask you a question. If you're a new artist and you could have one feature, who would it be?
Right now?
Yeah.
I Takeoff. I mean Offset. Out of those three, out of all the 3 Migos.
He had a really good features year.
Who would you have?
From the Migos?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am a new artist. I'm also working on a new album.
Come on, man. Okay. Perfect then. Okay, so you is you.
Run it up.
You is you. Who would you have as a feature if you had a choice right now?
I think Offset. I think topical base we might go in a real like interesting way. But I'll take anything. At this point.
Hey, y'all. If the feature's given out, I'll be right.
I think from day one, Offset always felt, even like in that he's like not actually related to the other two, he always sort of felt like a more fully formed entity a little bit. Like he always had a maturity and a gravity to him, even like from jump. I want to just defend Quavo real quick, though.
Yeah.
I think
we're
Quavo
like not even talking
Well,
about Quavo.
no, but I mean, listen, and it did like they're all like Olympian rappers, right? Like all three of them, like it's ridiculous. But
Olympian?
like whatever it is, but just like they're ridiculously
Right.
talented
They have a strong
rappers. They
presence.
all like record themselves. They all like clearly love making art and do it on their own and would do it regardless. And I just think, but Quavo is like their ambassador to the world, and I feel like even in his album, like even some songs that might not be like they might not be the fully sort of formed version of themselves, but like he is like the Normani Davido song. Like he's reaching out.
international.
He's reaching out and doing interesting
There's a lot of
things.
reaching
And I
in
think,
that
but no, and I think,
Wow.
but even professionally, like I think what he is socially for that group and sort of the ambassador, the diplomat, the quarterback,
The face.
it's incredibly important. And I think he
And
deserves a lot of respect.
I think that's the reason why we kind of don't necessarily feel like we have to,
Choose.
or not even that. I think that's the reason why we don't feel like we have to, I guess, fight for him, because it's like we know Quavo's place in this. You know, you see it from the music, you see it from the commercials. You know what I'm saying? The partnerships and all that other stuff. Like we see the star power that he has. It's kind of just like, all right, what do you focus on? Do you like when you're looking for your quote unquote favorite? You know, if you want the full package, I would definitely say Offset's probably the full package. If you want like the straight up lyricism, like I know they said that they invented the triple flow, like you know what I'm saying, and stuff like that, which they didn't. They did not. No. I agree that they didn't. It's just that I think
Shout out to 3-6.
Yeah. They didn't. They did not.
Right.
And I'm making a stance that they didn't.
Sound.
No, because I mean that's facts.
No,
like
it's
with like they had that. Like 3-6 had that.
But they
took it and
took
brought
it,
it
improved
to
upon it,
Yeah.
took it to a whole nother level. Like it didn't come out of thin air.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But they super
There's always
influential. It's not
influence.
to discount the influence.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it does speak to, you know, we kind of know Quavo's place, so it's like we don't necessarily have to fight for him.
I think that like because each Migo is so good at what they do, they really like broke a barrier of arguably being the best rap group alive.
Okay, that was my next question.
Oh.
Amazing
Okay.
segue.
Okay.
Migos best rap group alive. This is where we going with it?
No.
No?
No.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go.
That young
Listen,
Ivy
I
Rivera.
mean, how is it not?
Say it with your chest.
Wait.
How is it not?
Best rap group alive?
Yes.
Currently working.
Oh, alive.
Yeah, like let's like get like I need a lot of.
No, first off, we have a history of amazing rap groups.
Right.
But I think that this particular rap group could really hold their own individually. You can't say for every rap group that they could go off solo and succeed.
I'm sorry. Does Big Boy and Andre 3000 not exist?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a duo. Is it a group?
It's a rap group. It's more than one person.
All right, what makes a group though? Because this was always the argument. Is
A group
it
is
two?
more than one person.
More than one person.
Okay.
We are a group.
No, we are a
It's a
group.
group of us.
we are a group right now.
But no, there's plenty of like Ray Sherman is one of my favorites. But
I wanna-
No.
It's
'Cause
interesting.
I had a question.
Oh yeah, we're not
question.
accepting any
I had a
negativity
question.
on Ray
I'm supposed to be
Sherman.
like,
Yeah,
you gotta
no.
go.
No Ray Sherman slander from the
But
side. No, not at all.
it's interesting that you bring them up, right? Because they also did recently this sort of like solo and group album.
Which
Like I
was
think
great.
any group working right now is thinking of themselves as a sum, but also as parts. And like with Migos, it's almost bigger just than the three of them too, right? It's the whole QC entity. It's the video directors. It's the guys who make the crazy album art.
Yep.
Like, you know, all of those people are kind of creating this community that's like sort of pushing each other and holding each other accountable to greatness. Shout out
they're
to the City
super
Girls.
innovative.
Yeah.
So you're gonna stand that they're the
I
greatest.
mean, you're not gonna stand on. And
They're-
I'm not saying they're not
definitely
innovative, but you're not gonna
top
stand on
five.
innovative.
So it went from greatest to top 5.
No,
I-
you know,
like Outkast
I'm not
exists.
backtracking. I'm definitely standing to what I'm saying.
Right.
They're fire. And if I had to have a conversation about some of the best rap groups, there's no way you can have that conversation without talking about Migos.
I agree.
That's fair.
No
And
way.
I think a trio is such a. I agree. I think
Best-
a trio
best
is
rap
a
group of
rare
all time.
thing of all time. I don't. I'm like
That's a lot of
wow.
pressure.
Okay, let's stick to not all time. Let's stick to a lot.
Working today, I think like working right now. I think that's a yes.
Working right now, yes.
Without like maybe I'm forgetting
yeah,
something,
I'm
but
trying to
I
think of
think
one,
that's
yeah.
a definitive yes. And I think they have created a blueprint for a lot of other, like not just groups, but solo acts, not just collectives. Like, you know, for
You
how to
wanna-
be an
you wanna
artist.
debate
I just want to get
so
straight.
bad.
No.
Debate.
No.
You
So
wanna debate
I'll
so
say
Because it's
this.
Outkast.
I was not even that.
Ghetto
I
Boys.
had a conversation with a homie of mine where we talked about this recently, where as we all get older, right? We've been ingrained on what classics are. We've been ingrained on what the best is. Like we've been ingrained on that. So we know Confessions is a classic. Like and nothing, like there's no disputing that or going against that. But I think because that has been ingrained in us so much, it prevents us from taking current amazing projects and putting them on that like kind of like that table, that pantheon of greatness, classic, best, stuff like that.
Which is wrong and hard.
Which is like and it's not a good thing. So like if anything, I'm kind of leaning into your point where leaning into agreeing with your opinion
Of course.
of just saying like, you know, if you feel like they're the best, you're well within your reason to do that. Like we can't automatically just say because they're not old and they haven't been around for X whatever this benchmark of years are that they can't be the best.
Well, it's a generational thing. I think a lot of us kind of grow up. I think in your high school years to college years, like the music that's around is really what you connect to the most. For me, it's Jay, it's Nas, it's Wu-Tang, it's Outkast, you know, it's Scarface and things of that nature. But so a new generation grows up and they're like, yeah, Jay has classics and Nas has classics and Outkast has classics and Scarface has classics, and they're maybe taught that. But the thing you might really feel is like, nah, but Migos got classics because I was there for that.
Culture is a
I
classic.
can tell you that.
Yeah.
100%.
And it's hard, like you can't really argue. And I think the conversation does have to open up
Absolutely.
to include generation. As we get older, you know, as critics and what we do, you have to open the conversation up because the conversation can't die in
with the old shit. Like it can't just be like at what
Thug
point
Motivation.
at what point does the new stuff become
Thug Motivation 101 can't be the last classic that ever existed,
Right.
or even Good Kid, Mad City, or because
Right.
guess what? There's gonna be more classics.
Yep.
Right. And this is like, in some ways, this is off-season Migos. Like, this is sort of between a second big album that was almost a continuation of that, of Culture.
Yeah.
And like, they're all I don't know, like I think there's a lot to come.
Culture
So if this is what they can do
Culture
when
is
they're
very
sort
long.
of on their spare time, you know, I'm excited to see what happens.
I'm looking forward to the now that they've all kind of expressed themselves. I really wonder what Culture 3 will look like.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm still going with Outkast.
I'm just ain't nobody do well. I'm not gonna say such a definitive
I'm not gonna
fact,
say
but
that
like
they're not great.
there are not many artists in I even say in music that have done what Outkast.
Oh,
has
that's
done.
a fact. Speaker box.
Yeah, I'm just saying, man. Like the love below it still exists.
So we feel like we did it. So it feels like consensus is Takeoff, the best Migo.
Listen, man,
Everybody loves Migos. Takeoff is the best
Migos,
Migo.
I tell y'all right now.
Nobody wanted to be spicy. I'm going with Offset.
We're
Nobody
doing seasonal memberships. You know, just holler at one of us. We'll get you like your card. We'll get you your T-shirt and everything like
Boy,
that.
you wildin'.
Yo, I'm just saying.
I know. Where's the Takeoff High
We need
merch?
to-
Yo,
I got you.
take
We're gonna
off
make some
high
money.
merch. Listen,
For
man, don't be
sure.
surprised he hit one of us up and be like, "Hey, man, hey!" Like, you know.
He's not gonna hit you up.
Yeah, he's not gonna do that.
Yo, that's it for this week's For the Record, man. I'd like to thank all of our guests for talking it out with me. You know, again, a little bit spice, medium spice today.
Might.
Do y'all agree? Is Takeoff the best Migo? Is it Offset? Is it Quavo? Who's the best group of all time? You know, we love a good debate. I'm gonna get down there in the comments with you, so let us know what you feel. And tune in next week. I got a special guest coming next week. It's gonna be a good one, man. For the Record, peace.